Howdy guys, happy end of June and time for a wrap up. So this month I actually read / listened to 5 bloomin' books, which I think is the best I've done this year so far, 5 books, so I'm chuffed to bits with it. So I started the month with reading a book on my Kindle. Pudding! I read a book called In the Darkness, That's Where I'll Know You by Luke Smitherd. He wrote a book called The Stone Man, which I'd read previously, and I was given In the Darkness, That's Where I'll Know You by him in return for an honest review, which is what I did. And I cannot say enough good things about this book. It is the first 5-star book that I've read this year. I absolutely bloomin' loved it. I have got a separate review, so you can go and see more about it there, but basically it's a mystery / romance / thriller / horror / every single genre I can think of, but it's just a really exciting and amazing book that I recommend to everybody. The second book which I read this month was Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. This was read as part of a book club book. I really enjoyed this. It is a graphic novel. Whoop, there you go. Really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars overall. The book is broken up into chapters that look at different aspects of her life growing up in Iran. And the first chapter is all about the veil, and I think that pretty much sums up the book. It's hard-hitting right from the word go. I found it a really fantastic way of sort of combining really hard-hitting issues and like a history lesson in a graphic novel, but alongside it was very light-hearted at times. In fact, it was funny a lot of the time, and that I think took quite a talent to achieve, so I was really impressed with that. I also like the fact that as well as looking at sort of significant religious and historical issues, it also looked at issues that are for teenagers in general, teenagers all around the world, no matter where they're living, no matter what state their country is in, they're dealing with the same issues that are really hard. Being a teenager is tough, man. So after I finished Persepolis, I decided to read Scarlet, which is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles. I had read Cinder earlier in the year and absolutely loved it, so there was never a doubt in my mind that I was going to continue the series to try and finish it. It got me right from the word go. Really quickly it got into the same style as Cinder. It set the mystery, it set the intrigue, and got you right from the word go. Similarly as with Cinder, I really like how it sort of parallels the fairy tale, that it takes elements of it, but in a really modern way. And I was also really pleased to see the characters from Cinder and continuing of their story. I don't know why that was a surprise to me, because it is part of a series, but I had in my mind that it would be almost a completely separate entity. So to see the characters from Cinder and their story progressing and tying in with the new characters was fantastic. Really enjoyed the book. Gave it 4 stars. If you like Cinder, you'll like Scarlet. Although I do think Cinder was slightly better. At the same time as I was reading Scarlet, I started my first ever audiobook, which I have already got 2 videos about. One was about my audiobook experiences, one was about a sort of review of The Raven Boys, because that's the book that I listened to. I'll leave links below so you can check them both out if you want to know more. Basically, I pretty much enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars, but it was a strong 3 stars. I felt that audiobooks worked for me on long journeys. I enjoyed the story, but I think I wish I'd known more about it before I started, so I knew what I was getting into. I have every intention of reading the second book in the Raven cycle and seeing whether actually I think there's a good chance it's going to appeal to me more as a physical book than it is as an audiobook, so interesting to see how that goes. The final book, which I read this month and finished on the last day of the month, which was very exciting for me, was The Shrinking Man by Richard Matheson. This was one of the books that I tried the first chapter of. The first chapter was very exciting, got you really interested in the story, and I felt sadly didn't reflect the rest of the book. It's not a bad book. I gave it 3 stars, but I think it was probably a weaker 3 stars. It was just, fundamentally, it should have been a short story, was how I felt. Actually, it was a good story, really interesting idea of this teeny tiny man and how he's fighting spiders and the tiniest step can seem like a mountain to him. Really good idea, but it just dragged on and on and on, and actually was quite repetitive. The number of times I had to listen to how he climbed up something was crazy. it sort of tells two stories alongside each other. One of them is where he's very, very, very small and is having this plight, stuck in a cellar and telling the story of what's going on. And then it was sort of interjected with stories of his gradual shrinking, which I found that more interesting. I found the story of sort of the psychological trauma of him shrinking and how the relationship with his wife and child changed and how angry he was with the world. Found that much more interesting. So all in all, not a bad reading month. I was chuffed to bits with reading 5 books, and I also got to read my favourite book of the year so far, so I can't complain really, can I? If you've read any of the books, let me know. Would love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.